Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I am a clarinet and a recorder player. So today I will be introducing you to my small family of recorders, and hopefully it will help you learn a little bit about the different ranges that the recorder has and understand why sometimes I turn up to rehearsals or gigs with lots and lots of recorders. So the smallest recorder we have is the Darkline, which is 16 centimetres in length and has its own little fingering system because the physics makes it easier for it to make the notes the way it is than it would be if it had the same fingering as a Baroque or a German fingered recorder. So I can get from a C to a G, the octave above, and it's quite high pitched, quite loud and very painful on the ears. Some people can get higher, I'm just choosing not to. And that, believe it or not, was me trying to play it generally a little bit quietly. It's a bit of a shouty recorder, so if you want to go busking and be heard, this is a good recorder for you. However, it is also obvious that it's you playing it. It travels a long way. It's a good recorder for busking as well because you don't have to take it apart, put it in a case. When you're moving around, it just fits in your pocket quite nicely. It is mostly used as an effect whistle for me, as if to say, right, the band is here, we are going to be loud. And I don't think I've used it for much else than that. After the Darkline down in size, we have the Sopranino, which I use a little bit more, but it is another shouty recorder. I can get more of a range with this, but still hit the same top note as the Darkline, and it's a little bit, well, it is much more tunable than the Darkline because the Darkline is one piece and this I can adjust the neck on. So I can get from F to G 2 octaves above with this. So that's your Sopranino. It can be used more in things like concertos and proper performances, soloist performances, because of the slightly more extended range than the Darkline. It is very high pitched and it could overpower smaller ensembles or quieter consorts, and therefore again, if it's something you want to hide whilst you're playing, I wouldn't try a Sopranino. Down in size from the Sopranino again, we have the Descant, the dreaded Descant from primary school. I think most people will be familiar with this sort of recorder because it is what you get given or asked to buy for whole class recorder lessons. I have two Descants in my collection, so I have my plastic Descant and I have my wooden Descant with different fingering systems, which I will explain in a later video. But to give you an idea of how they both sound, it is a fairly nice sound in reality. Once you get past the problem in primary school of not knowing how to control the air properly to make a nice sound, it is a very nice sounding instrument. And for my wooden one, I can only get a range of 2 octaves on this, so C to C, whereas with the plastic one I can get from C to D 2 octaves above. Down in size again from the Descant is the Treble, which is another more common variant of the recorder, or the alto. I have again a plastic and a wooden one at current, and they're different shapes, which is different styles. So this is a Baroque style, this is a Renaissance style, which I will explain a little bit in another video. but essentially it just means that this is louder on the lower notes. So this, like the soprano, has a range of F to G 2 octaves above. And has quite a nice range. It's got a gentle sound, it's not too high, it's not too low, and to be honest, it's my favourite sound of the recorder family is the alto. This is currently my favourite recorder out of the recorders I own. It has got a very lovely tone, and I think it suits pretty much every style of music I play. I do folk music, I do medieval music, I do classical stuff, so I play concertos and fantasies and sonatas, and it just works. It has, again, a range of F to G, 2 octaves above, and some recorders can get higher, some alto recorders, generally the Baroque style, and that is, again, something I will cover in a later video. So it's got quite a nice round mellow tone. Down in size again from the alto in my collection is the tenor. So I have a wooden tenor and a plastic tenor. So the basics in the difference between these, because there are differences, is that this has 2 keys at the bottom, where this one only has the one, meaning I can get C and C sharp on this and only C on this. And this has a thumb rest built in, which makes it more comfortable to play on longer periods. Whereas this, I've made my own thumb rest because after a while wooden recorders are heavier than plastic recorders, and if you've been playing for a long period of time, this will hurt your thumb without a thumb rest. It's got a bit of a woolly sound and possibly needs a bit of a clean inside the mouthpiece. It doesn't always help, but it can. And again, it's only really used in ensembles, this one in my collection, because sometimes you need the C and C sharp over having one that can't do the C sharp. And then to my wooden one. It's a slightly purer tone, again that's possibly just because it's wood, and I can only really get the C at the bottom. So that is the tenor recorder, and then to the lowest in my collection, for which I need a strap, is the bass. So the bass has got keys here, here and 2 at the bottom, and a thumb rest. This bass has got what is called a nick neck, so it's bent, and it makes it slightly easier to play, because if the bass didn't have this feature, it would be 3 foot long and you would play either through a crook, which is a little metal pipe, or just blow straight in the end, which for me as a slightly shorter person would make it a little bit more difficult to play. So sometimes I can get the G nicely and sometimes it doesn't work, so I generally say that this has a range of 2 octaves F to F. And the bass is a little bit more difficult to play, especially when you've been playing the smaller instruments, because the holes are further apart and slightly wider, so you've got to be careful when moving from something like the Darkline or even the alto down to the bass, because you've got to get your fingers in just the right positions. So it has the keys to make it easier to reach the holes, because the hole for the next note down is actually here, so you use the key to reach it instead. You can get comfort tenors that do similar things for people who have smaller hands, so that it makes it easier to play. And you can get recorders much bigger than this as well. So the largest recorder in the world currently is 3 meters long, and someone is trying to make one that is 4.5 meters long, I think I read. So I think this is long at whatever 3 foot is in meters. And the current largest recorder sounds 2 octaves lower than that as its lowest note. So that is my little collection of recorders. Undoubtedly it will probably grow at some point in the near future, and if you have any questions about the recorder or any of the recorders that I own specifically, please put them in the comments and I will try and get back to you as soon as possible, and I will see you in my next video.